Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fantasy enthusiasts of all ages, it is the Week 12 Game Day show. Seems to be a little bit of news, a little something going on this week. It is absolutely insane what has happened, even just over the uh, past couple of hours, like the past 24, 48 hours, has just been absolutely insane. Appreciate you guys that are already jumping into the chat. We're going to get to your questions here in just a second. I want to let Kev say what's up, and then I will go over some of the inactives and actives for today. Kev, what's up, buddy?
I remember earlier in the year we thought like it was a crazy week. Like this week has been this has been the craziest week that I can ever remember in the NFL, with games being moved and the Broncos out here trying to start their coach at quarterback. And it's just been wild. Like we were talking about it. I know a lot of people are going to have concerns with the Ravens and Steelers game. Is it going to play? And we were just talking about that. And I think it's about 100% chance that it's going to play, because we were talking about that. And the reason why I think that it's about 100% lock is the NFL wants no business with a week 18. Because if you had a week 18, let's say they have to move the game and they move it to the end of the year, you're looking at a week 18 game with one game with the potential that the Steelers have the whole thing locked up and they just sit all their starters for that game anyway. And so do you really want an entire week focused on one game where it's not even going to matter? There's really not going to have much upside to it. And then the fact that the Ravens could end up being out, or the Ravens could be out of the playoffs by then too. Who knows with all the stuff that they have going on. It just doesn't make any sense. Like if we just saw the Broncos, or what the NFL is making the Broncos play this game without a single quarterback, like they're going to make the Ravens play this game with whoever they have and whoever they can field. Whether the guys are playing both sides of the football, I don't know. But this game is going to happen, and I feel pretty confident that they're going to play this game. They would have canceled it by now. It's going to be very, very, very hard to believe that they're going to cancel this game. They're going to do whatever they can to get this game in.
Yeah, for sure. Especially whenever you put it in the context of the week 18 and everything like that. They're just, because then that's going to push back playoffs and everything else. So let's rattle through some of these actives and inactives for week 12. Then we'll start jumping into the chat and answering your questions. So out today, McCaffrey, Fitz, Burkhead, who is headed to IR, along with John Brown, the wide receiver for Buffalo. They're both headed to IR. Jonathan Taylor, Irv Smith, DJ Chark, Chris Conley, Denzel Ward, Todd Gurley, Savon Ahmed, Myles Gaskin, who they still didn't actually activate off of IR. He is out. Obviously, all of the Denver quarterbacks that Kevin was just talking about. We have a bunch in Baltimore with Lamar. Mark Andrews just tested positive. J.K. Dobbins, some of their defensive players. I think I saw they have like 20 in terms of like their staff and their play. Like I think 11 players who have landed on the list and like 20 on their staff, which is just absolutely bonkers. But we do have, and then also Brandon Ayuk and Tevin Coleman are also out. I did see the Isaiah Wynn, the left tackle for the Patriots, which is a big blow to that offensive line. He is also going to be out. Returning today, though, we have Austin Eckler coming back, and now he's expected to get significant carries, was the latest blurb, with Kalen Ballage, who is also out. Raheem Mostert is returning. Jeff Wilson, Trent Williams, obviously going to be a big boost for that 49ers team, along with Deebo Samuel. Sam Darnold is going to be playing. Mitchell Trubisky is back in the fold, and also Chris Carson. And I do believe that Hayden Hurst is expected to play, and Julio Jones is not expected to play. And then also on the defensive side, Jamel Dean for the Bucks is a big loss for them, and Adoree Jackson is out for the Titans in a game that I know Maddie on the DFS pod was talking about, that he's a really big fan of this week. So I think I got all of them. There's a lot going on. Is there anything that I potentially missed out on there, Kevin? You heard me rattling through those. I think I got all of it.
Sounds about right, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot more. over the next 2 hours.
Hopefully, we get some more good news and not some more bad news. We're going to jump into this. First question is coming in from Tam. Happy to see you in here. Appreciate you joining us again. A wide receiver 2 is what Tam needs. AJ Brown has a tough matchup, but should I play him over Aguilar? Obviously, we're trusting Brown more, but Aguilar does have that big play touchdown appeal. How do you feel on that one?
Well, I mean, if you look at AJ Brown, I mean, AJ Brown has struggled against the Colts in his short time. I think in 3 games, I don't think he's had more than 45 yards, but I would still go AJ Brown over Nelson Aguilar. Like that could go so many different directions for Aguilar. It is a really good matchup against the Falcons. The Falcons are terrible against the pass, but I would just trust AJ Brown a little bit more. I also really like Corey Davis as well. If people have Corey Davis and are thinking about what they should do with him, I think he's somebody that people should be taking into consideration as well.
Yeah, as fun as Aguilar has been whenever he's hit, whenever he doesn't hit, that is just going to absolutely crush you. I mean, just over the past couple of weeks, looking at week 8, 2 targets, no catches. Then he went 2 for 55 and a touchdown against the Chargers. Followed that up with 4 targets for 1 catch, and then last week he obviously had the 6 for 88 and a touchdown against KC. So I think Brown will get there. I know the last game, I think he only had 1 catch for 21 yards, but that just didn't make sense because especially with the score of that game ended up being like 34-17, and Tannehill only threw the ball 25 times. So there's going to be more volume coming for AJ Brown. Like I said, Adoree Jackson is out, which if they can move AJ around a little bit and get a little creative with him, we've seen his ability after the catch where he can just take one and rip it off for a 55-yard touchdown. So I get the intrigue with Aguilar, but if I start Aguilar and he goes 1 for 8 and then AJ Brown is sitting there and has even just a solid game, doesn't even go off, I would feel pretty bad about myself.
Yeah, I mean, it feels a little bit like a trap, right? Like you're chasing last week's points, and so I don't feel 100% confident with playing somebody like that. I just think there's better options. I mean, there's better options than Nelson Aguilar this week that you could go with if you really wanted to. I mean, Gabriel Davis in a game that should be a shootout against the Chargers and the Chargers and Bills, where John Brown is out, and so I mean, you could see a really big game from Gabriel Davis today. Jalen Guyton could be an option. Now, I'd have to be pretty desperate to get to him in like redraft, but. Andy Isabella, against the Patriots today, is also another option with Larry Fitzgerald out. So there's other options to get to, and I think if you're wanting to do that, Keelan Cole, no DJ Chark, no Chris Conley. So Keelan Cole is going to see he runs like 71% of his snaps from the slot, and the Browns have been terrible against the slot this year. And they're also missing Denzel Ward, but it is tough to trust Mike Glennon, obviously, but they're going to have to throw the ball to somebody. And so I think Keelan Cole, could go 6 for 80 and a touchdown. That's certainly in the range of possibilities for him as well. So I just think there's better options that are, I think, a little bit safer.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to Aiden wants to know, do you see Jefferson as a wide receiver 1 this week? Obviously, Irv Smith and Thielen are out, and they're going up against a defense that, to put it lightly, can be had.
Yeah, he's definitely a wide receiver 1 this week. The only concern you ever have with the Viking pass catchers is, are they going to have to open up the offense? Because if not, we know that they will just run the football down your throat over and over and over again. So as long as the Panthers can keep this game competitive, I do think that, Justin Jefferson makes for a fantastic play.
Yeah, and I talked about this game a little bit on the prop show that I do with Tom last night, and I like Delvin Cook. His receiving total is only at 24.5, but the reason why I'm bringing it up, Kev, like you said, with keeping this competitive, it's only a 3-point spread, and the total was up to 50 the last time I saw it. So going to be points going around unless the Vikings just absolutely blow them out quick and early. That's the only way I can see Jefferson not getting his. So yeah, Jefferson is a very good play this week. Moving on to Eduardo. Hope you're having a good morning as well, man. Appreciate you jumping in. Perriman, MVS, or Manny Sanders, and he needs the biggest upside. So let's tackle that one first, and we'll get to the QB question.
Well, I mean, you don't really want to attack the Miami Dolphins on the outside, and that's where Brashad Perriman's going to play.
Correct.
With Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, like you just don't really want to try to attack them on the outside. The inside, where is really where they're most vulnerable. Nick Needham is terrible. The corner for the slot corner for the Dolphins. So obviously that spells good things for Jamison Crowder and not really good things for Brashad Perriman. If you are looking for upside, you cannot play Emmanuel Sanders either, because I don't know how much they really have to throw the ball. You're going to have wide receiver, former quarterback Kendall Hinton starting today for the Broncos. And I did myself the service of going and watching Kendall Hinton's freshman year, because he was the quarterback for their freshman and junior year. He got hurt, and then when he came back for his senior year, they moved him to wide receiver at Wake Forest. And Wake Forest, let me tell you, is a powerhouse that just produces quarterback after quarterback. So, but he is much more of like a run pass option type guy. But regardless, like this is going to be a slow paced game, and there's not going to be a ton. I don't think the Saints really have to do a whole lot to win this game. So if you're looking for upside here, I would not play Brashad Perriman, and I don't even know if I would play MVS or Emmanuel Sanders. I would tell you to go look at the waiver wire and look at a guy like Gabriel Davis, who is likely widely available in every single league. I would start with him, and then I think Keelan Cole, if he's out there, which he may not be because he's had some pretty big games this year. But like I said, Andy Isabella, like I keep talking about these guys, like these are the guys that I would be looking at. Jalen Guyton would be at probably the bottom, but all these guys play a ton of snaps. All of them have pretty high upside and can really go off, especially in great matchups, which is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, if we're talking upside, out of those players, obviously MVS would be the choice. But well, I would go. I did Scour.
No, I was just going to say, apparently his waivers have already passed. So I guess you can't make any free agent moves. Well, you can only make waivers. So I guess we have to go with one of them. So
yeah, it's MVS.
Yeah, that's probably where I would land then. Yeah, MVS. Yeah.
And then as far as the quarterback question, definitely Brady over Taysom Hill.
Yes.
Man, that sucks. Normally those don't lock until the games actually start. That's a little rough. But out of there, I mean, with Lazard coming back, maybe that takes some of the attention off of MVS as that second option. And you know, all it takes for him is one of those 50-yard catches for a touchdown, and gonna outproduce the other options you have sitting there in that question. Shades back in the chat. What's up, Shades? Need quarterback help? Hill, Jones, or Fitz?
So I really like Daniel Jones, but I'm worried that Jason Garrett and the Giants decide they don't need to open up the offense to be able to beat Brandon Allen and the Bengals. And so they run the ball 25 times and are very slow paced. And you don't see a lot from Daniel Jones, even though on paper, I think he has one of the best matchups here. And then you have Fitz, who is getting the Jets. I would probably go. It's either Taysom Hill or Fitz, because Taysom Hill is still interesting because they're going to run him, and he is still going to pick up yards on the ground with his legs. So I still think he's a top 12 quarterback or borderline QB1 this week. But I would probably lean toward Fitzmagic, because I think that we know that how good he is for fantasy purposes, and he is going to throw the ball a lot. And we haven't gotten news yet, right, on Myles Gaskin if he's in. Have we got that news?
He is not in because he hasn't been activated off of IR.
Okay,
so they're without Ahmed and Gaskin. So it's going to be the Matt Breida, Patrick Laird, DeAndre Washington show.
So yeah, that even tells me more. They're probably going to throw the ball even more. I mean, Matt Breida is a capable runner. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we've seen it when he was in San Francisco. But still, I would probably lean towards Fitzmagic just because of his upside and his ability to want to throw the ball.
Yeah, I agree there. I would go Fitz out of that group. I think he probably has the highest ceiling and a nice floor as well.
And the way that you beat the Jets is through the air. Like don't like they are really good against the run. Like that's where people, when they look at the Jets, they just automatically see the Jets and they automatically assume they're terrible at everything. But they've actually been really good against the run this year. They're top 10 in run DVOA, but they are at the bottom of pass DVOA. So if you look at the Chiefs, I mean, the Chiefs went nuclear against them. The passing offense did, but they really didn't run the ball much at all.
We have another Fitz question here. This one from Justin. Would you go Wentz or Fitzpatrick? Obviously, the matchup sets up really nicely for Wentz, but we did start getting the report this morning that Hurts is going to be potentially getting more snaps. And there was even the caveat that said without Wentz on the field. So it looks like they're going to be getting Hurts involved, not just as a as a gadget kind of guy or whenever they put him in to kind of just run RPOs. Looks like he's actually going to get some run as the actual quarterback. So with that in mind, who are you going with between Wentz and the aforementioned Fitzmagic?
I still think I would go Wentz. Like I'm in the same position, right? And so in my home league that I'm in, I have Carson Wentz, and I'm still rolling him out there. Like I'm not as concerned with these reports. Like I don't think that means that they're going to give him like whole series and stuff like that. I think they'll work him in a little bit more and try some different things with Jalen Hurts. But it also could have something that if this Philadelphia offense is able to get going, I don't think they're going to start pulling Carson Wentz off the field for Jalen Hurts. Like this is the ultimate smash spot for Carson Wentz to bounce back. Like this should be the game that they're able to get the offense going. Like everybody has thrown all over the Seahawks this year. And so I like Carson Wentz. I still have him as a top 10 quarterback. Fitz is certainly intriguing with to have that option, but I would still probably go Carson Wentz. And I still think that he's going to play 80 to 90% of the snaps.
Yeah, it's closer than it should be, to be completely honest. Man, I think I might go Fitz.
And I can see that. Like I said, like it's a really good matchup for Fitz, and you're not worried about him, being pulled off the field or losing, possible production to another quarterback. So, like, I get that, but
just with everything, it is a smash spot for Wentz, but everything with that team, like Lane Johnson is now out, so like they're down to like the JV Philadelphia high school team as far as their offensive line goes, and I think hopefully we get fun Fitzpatrick and not the 3 pick, but like the Jets haven't even been causing turnovers through the air, so I don't even think you have to worry about that. So I'm flip a coin. Flip a coin. I don't think either option is heads and tails above the other. So I think you're fine rolling out either one there, Justin. If you have any other questions that we can help out with in terms of would this change anything, Rager or Rojo at the flex?
That's definitely Rager.
Definitely Rager. Does that cement your Wentz call at all to get the stack?
Yeah, you get that stack. I mean, that's okay.
I'll lean Wentz then as well with Rager. I just happened to look down and see that one. So go Wentz and Rager there. Hunt or Eckler coming from Ravenna?
That's Eckler. Really like Austin Eckler today. Like Austin Eckler has tremendous upside in this game. I like Hunt as well. Like it's obviously still a good matchup. He's still going to see probably 15 to 18 touches regardless because they're playing the Jaguars and they're going to be able to run the football all over them. But Eckler in this game that has really high has the potential for an absolute shootout here. If you look at Eckler's numbers, I was looking at it earlier this morning for DFS when I was building lineups. He has played really well, and he played 2 games essentially with Justin Herbert before going down, and he has in 2 games almost 300 total yards, 15 receptions, a touchdown. Like the dude went absolutely off, right, with Justin Herbert, and we're looking at no Kalen Ballage. So they're back to Tremaine Pope and Joshua Kelly as well. So the Joshua Kelly will probably, in my mind, probably get, he'll probably run some of the short yardage, maybe some goal line opportunities, but it's going to be Austin Eckler. Like Austin Eckler is a borderline running back 1 this week, where I have Hunt more like RB16, just because I think there's a scenario where Chubb just goes the fuck off today.
Yeah. Talked about him yesterday on the prop pod as well, and his rushing total was at like 87.5.
Smash that. He could do that in one play.
From the 5 off the kickoff. But yeah, I do like that. Appreciate all the good vibes that are coming in here from you guys. It's nice to see. This is a positive spot. Kevin and I have talked about that before with, there's a lot of trolling that goes on, just across the internet in general, but especially in the fantasy community. And we have luckily not had much of that at all. So appreciate all the good vibes that you guys are bringing with you whenever you come into this. If you're checking this out for the first time, please smash that subscribe button. We really do appreciate all the support and all the engagement from you guys. MC Raven has a question here for us. Snell or Leo PPR? That is obviously with James Conner out. And Calais Campbell is out on the other side for the Ravens. Kevin, just in general, how do you see the this KC game going?
I think it has potential to be a 38-35 type game. That's why I don't really want any part of Ronald Jones, even though the Chiefs have not been great against the run, because I think that this game sets up to be. And I'm also not really all that worried about the Bucs defense either. The Bucs defense, especially their pass defense, has really been roasted for the past month. Like they have been torched, and so like,
Dean is out.
Yes. And so for the Chiefs side, like if the Chiefs get up and get it big early, that's going to spell the end of Ronald Jones for the most part. And so I do think Leonard Fournette makes for a really solid play today, but it's really hard for me not to play Benny Snell because the Ravens are missing their entire defensive line. They're not just missing one, like their entire defensive line. Like, somebody put up like on Twitter that like marking out all the names, and like it's their whole defensive line just marked out. Like they have nobody from their defensive line, at least their defensive ends. So Benny Snell, we know now that he's going to get the start. He's not going to have the pass catching role, but I don't think he's going to need it, right? Like in this game, like the Ravens have absolutely nobody. So Benny Snell could get 30 carries and they just run it down their throat, right? Because you don't really need to open up the offense that much. They're still going to have I think most of their secondary is intact. So from the Baltimore side of things, but Benny Snell is going to get all the goal line work, and obviously, which he fucking takes away from James Conner anyway. But now, so I would probably go Benny Snell, but it's closer than I would like to, than I would like to think, because I think that how this game sets up for the Kansas City Tampa Bay side.
Yeah, I'm going to go Snell there as well. I obviously I like KC to win this game, but I'm not entirely sure they jump out to like a 14-0 lead right off the bat. They could, but I think that's going to be your best hope for Fournette, is that they jump out to a big lead like that and they're playing from behind the entirety of the game. I think it'll be a little bit closer. I didn't see the spread on this game, but I'm going to go Snell there just because of everything that Kev lined up. And also Fournette dropped 3 passes, like just straight up dropped like 3 or 4 passes the last time. We've seen what Arians will do once you get in the doghouse, although he didn't do it with Rojo in the last fumble, but that's neither here nor there. Corey has a question for us in the YouTube chat. Jacoby Myers or Debo?
I'm gonna go with Jacoby Myers. I just think it's a better matchup. The Rams defense has played really, really well.
And no Ayuk.
Yeah, and their secondary has been fantastic. Now they will do creative things with Debo and get him into space and have him, do some running back carries and stuff like that. So I think he can. I don't think Debo's a terrible play. I still have him as a top 36 wide receiver, but he is a low end wide receiver 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Myers there as well. Even with me loving Debo, especially someone who's coming off of an injury. Not a great matchup. It's not a great matchup for Myers either. But we've seen. I'm going to assume that Patrick Peterson is going to be on Myers for the majority of it. But we've seen some chinks in that armor as well. So give me Myers in that situation. Yvette joining us from the YT chat as well. Crowder, Gio, or Robbie Anderson in the flex?
This is closer than I like to admit because I think Crowder and Robbie Anderson are super close because with Sam Darnold back, we know who he is going to target often.
Yes.
And that is Jamison Crowder. But I do think Robbie Anderson probably has a higher chance of a touchdown. And it's a half-point PPR.
I would rank them Anderson, Crowder, and Gio.
Yeah. I'll go Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, it is closer. Anderson has kind of been slipping a little bit over the past couple weeks. But I do like Anderson in this matchup. And Crowder can go one of two ways. Either, 8 catches for 40 yards or 10 for 102. I think Anderson is the play there. Like I said, I would go Anderson, Crowder, and Gio if I were to have to rank them. Man, Eduardo does need the that is a rough week going up against those two from Thursday. Good luck to you, sir. Eric Brewer wants to know, do we like Eckler or Shepard today in PPR?
Eckler.
Yeah, that, like Kev was saying earlier with the Giants and just the questions and the hesitancy with just slamming Wayne Gallman into in that matchup and not really opening things up. I do like Eckler there as well. Although Shepard, I like him as a rest of season kind of sneaky wide receiver 2 flex option. Lil Morty in the chat: Curtis Samuel or Mike Evans?
I'm gonna go Mike Evans.
Okay, I thought we were gonna end up disagreeing there. It's we shouldn't have to pause for this long to answer that question, but there's absolutely reason for it. But I'm gonna go Evans as well.
Yeah, it's just the way they're distributing the targets in Tampa Bay among Godwin and AB and Evans, it makes it tough because I see a scenario where Mike Evans only gets 5 fantasy points this week, especially if he doesn't find the end zone, because that's what a lot of his production has come from, especially with Godwin and Evans. And now with Gronk starting to pick up the play and everything else, like it is real, right? And if you factor in that, the Viking or the Panthers could be playing behind, throwing the ball a lot more. And Curtis Samuel is also being utilized as a running back as well. So it is super close. Like I honestly, Curtis Samuel has a higher ceiling to me than Mike Evans does in this matchup, I think. So if you're shooting for upside, I would probably lean towards Curtis Samuel. He has a little bit clearer path to touches than Mike Evans does. So But I would probably still lean a little bit more towards Mike Evans because he does have that. The Chiefs have struggled to stop especially long, the deep ball, and that's obviously Mike Evans' alley. And so if Mike Evans can rip off a 50-yard touchdown, that's where he comes into play. So I would just slightly lean towards Mike Evans, but it is tough. It's not as clear cut as you'd like to think.
Correct. Mason has a question for us. Corey Davis, Sterling Shepard, Landry, A, B needs 3 of these 4. So who are you sitting out of this group?
I'm sitting Landry, and it's mainly just game flow concerns. Really, that's all it really comes down to me. Is I just don't think the Browns really need to throw the ball that much.
Yeah, I agree there. It would be between Landry and Shepard. For me, I think you're locking in Davis and AB out of that group. Yeah, even whenever fucking Baker Mayfield's throwing, he's throwing for 190, 200 yards. So give me, yeah, I'm going to agree. Sit Shepard. Sit Landry rather. So Davis, Shepard, AB, lock them in. Brady or Taysom. We had this question earlier as well. We're both going to go Brady on that one. Nick Brown joining us in the YouTube chat. Need 3 out of Hopkins, Shepard, Keenan, Reagor, Fulgham. Nice group. Obviously locking in Hopkins, locking in Keenan. And I'm going to go.
So really,
Reagor.
It comes down to Shepard or Reagor.
And I'm going to go Reagor.
And I would just slightly lean towards Reagor. Yeah.
TS needs 2 in a PPR. Eckler, Hines, Wilkins, Hill, Gallman. TS, I will say that there was a blurb that just came out recently that said Eckler is going to see significant carries. And obviously with Pope and Joshua Kelly, after the first 2 weeks where people thought Joshua Kelly was actually good and he is in fact not. Whenever you bring in Kalen Ballage off the street and he is getting 20 touches to Joshua Kelly's 8 to 10, I wouldn't be worried about it. Eckler is he's still explosive. He's still going to be able to pop some off. So Eckler, I'm locking in. And then for me, it's between Gallman and Hines. Kev, I know you really like Gallman this week. Would you play Gallman over Hines?
That is tough. It's so tough because of the fact that now that Jonathan Taylor is ruled out, that it really comes down to him and Wilkins doesn't really factor in all that much for me.
No.
I would still go Gallman though. I would go Eckler and Gallman. I love Eckler this week. I don't think nobody should be concerned with Austin Eckler in this matchup. They're not going to only give him 10 touches or something like that. If they're bringing him back and they're saying he's ready to go, he's ready to go. He's 100%.
What Hill are we talking? Oh, Brian. Hill. That's right. Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not a fan of Brian Hill.
I'm not falling for that for the 4th time. I will not do it. So it's Eckler, and I'll go Gallman there as well. Kev has reeled me in on the Gallman talk. I put a prop bet down on him, so we can all come back and just blame Kev whenever Gallman goes for 35 rushing yards. I'm
really upset that we haven't got a Mitchell Trubisky question yet because I'm just ready to lambaste about. I am quite honestly. And I am a Chiefs fan, if people don't know. I'm born and raised in Kansas City. Lived 4 years out in Jacksonville when I was in the Navy. But other than that, I've been in Kansas City my entire life. So you would think that I'm the most excited to see Patrick Mahomes against Tom Brady, which I am. I'm excited to see that game. But I am actually probably more excited to see Mitchell Trubisky play tonight against the Packers. I have been, we have a little small DFS chat among me, Brian, and Maddie. And I have been telling them for weeks that Mitch Trubisky needs to be the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears. And now that he's getting his chance, I get to put that on full display. So I am so excited to see Mitch Trubisky go out there and just drop the fucking hammer on the Packers tonight. But
Jordan,
I do like him. Like if you are looking for a quarterback though, like a streaming option this week, like Mitch Trubisky is certainly in play against the Packers.
We will move on. Jordan, I saw your question. I just want to jump to Ashton real quick, just because we were talking about this group of running backs already. Would you pick up Gallman, Gus, or Damian Harris? Yeah, it's
Gallman. Gallman is a borderline RB1 this week.
Like Gallman there as well. Back to Jordan's question. Kev, I know I heard you talking on the DFS pod that you really like Christian Kirk this week. We are not risking Gus Edwards in this matchup. Would you go Mike Will or Christian Kirk?
So I think they're both really both interesting guys to play because of the fact that they're both in high total games. They're both the number 2 wide receivers in their offenses. And where you have, Keenan I'm not really as concerned with in terms of just like matchups, but I do think Mike Williams probably sees Tre'Davious White, and that gives me a little bit of pause with Mike Williams. Now, Tre'Davious White has been up and down this year. He's had some good moments, but he's also been beaten. But with Christian Kirk, he is going to probably get moved into the slot some. They're going to move him around. He's not just going to play on the other side. But I would almost bet that the Patriots are going to do whatever they can to take away DeAndre Hopkins. And so with that, I think that really opens things up for Christian Kirk. And I would just lean. I do really like Christian Kirk this week.
I would lean Kirk over Mike Williams as well. He's another one of those guys who can, he could go 6 for 93 and 2, or he could end up going out there and going, 2 for 20. So I would lean Kirk in this instance as well. Tam has another question going back to the quarterbacks. Carr or Fitz for you this week?
I'm
going to go Carr.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me with Carr is if they're able to run the football, they're going to run the football, and because that's really what the Raiders want to do is be able to run the ball. Whereas Fitz, sets up such a great matchup. Like I really like Ryan Fitzpatrick a lot today, but I'm going to go Carr because I also really like Derek Carr.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if the Raiders are able to run the ball, I think the Falcons going up against that defense, even without Julio Jones, will be able to do enough to keep that competitive. The Carr's going to be throwing the ball. We've seen how efficient he can be, so I will lean Carr there as well. But it is close. But I'm just gonna, and I've never been on Derek Carr, so it makes me nervous to say him. That one's probably going to come back to bite me in the ass, but I will lean Carr there over Fitz for you, Tam. Ashton has another question. AB or Cole Beasley for the wide receiver 2 spot?
Give me AB, and I'm assuming this is a PPR.
I would assume. I do like Cole Beasley this week, but Chris Harris is back, and he's going to be moved into the slot. Now, obviously, it's going to be his first game. I don't know. I can't remember if he's played at all this year, but he is coming off of injury. But
are they going to only play him there because Casey Hayward is out?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that's where he sees the majority of his snaps. And we know what he was whenever he was healthy. He was probably the best slot corner that we've seen in quite some time. He can play outside too, for sure. And Beasley does have a much better track record production whenever John Brown is out.
I think it's closer than I'd like to believe as well. Because I see a scenario where Kareem Hunt also has a really good day. We could see both Chubb and Hunt have over 20 fantasy points today. But
I like
gonna
AB and Hunt.
I'm going to go AB and Beasley.
Yeah, they're close for sure. I really don't think you can go wrong either way. AB for sure. I like Hunt. Like I said, I also like Beasley too. I would just very narrowly lean Hunt over Beasley because I think Hunt is in line for. He could have 15 to 18 touches himself on top of Chubb having 20 to 25. But I do like Hunt in that spot. I like Beasley, so that's a nice problem to have for this week, Ashton. AB for sure, Beasley for Kev, and Hunt for myself. Big Truz. Hopefully you're staying away from the Ravens, my friend. What are you doing down there, buddy? Robbie Anderson, Justin Jefferson, Curtis Samuel, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman. We need 2.
Well, you can just go ahead and lock in Justin Jefferson.
I'm not debating the Cincy receivers. So for me, it's coming down to Pittman or the Panthers receivers.
I mean, I still like Tyler Boyd. I think he's a decent wide receiver 3, but
yeah, I mean, he's fine, but like out of this group, I don't think you have to consider him.
I'm going to go Robbie Anderson. I'm going to go Justin Jefferson and Robbie Anderson.
I really want to play Pittman. Like I said, I do like that game, like Maddie was talking about on the DFS pod. Man, can you play 3?
I mean, Pittman would be the number 3 for me. It's between those 3 or between those 2, but I would just lean towards Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, I'm going to go Anderson as well. Even the numbers look better than what Pittman did last week. Where he got the majority of his production last week were just on 2 completely busted plays in coverage by the Packers. I mean, the Titans can obviously be had as well in the secondary, but I'm going to go Jefferson and Anderson there as well. Karn joining us. What's up, Karn? Who should I start with the flex? Juju, another Pittman question. Debo or Rager, pick him up. Pick him up.
Hmm. I'm going to go Rager.
Yeah, I like Rager out of that group as well. It would be Rager, Pittman, Juju, Debo.
I would actually go Rager, Pittman, Debo, then Juju. So what worries me the most with Juju is while we know that the Ravens defense is completely busted right now, Marlon Humphrey, whenever they get into 3 wide receiver sets, which is when you'd see Juju because Juju plays pretty much entirely in the slot, Marlon Humphrey is their best corner, and Marlon Humphrey has been shut down this year. And like I said, I just don't think the volume is going to be there. So I don't really care for Juju. And I have lowered down a little bit Deontay and Chase Claypool as well, just a little bit in this matchup. Not much. I still think they're both Claypool and Deontay, I think, are still strong plays for this week. Like I said, I'm not worried about the Steelers and Ravens game. If it was going to not happen, we would already have had that news. There's no way now that they're not going to play this game unless something crazy happens. So, and then, I mean, the Ravens have been quarantining pretty much, since Tuesday or Wednesday. So we really shouldn't be getting any more new after this, I think. And then the Steelers, same thing now, I guess, with what happened with James Conner. So I think that game plays for sure.
The answer is Rager. though. Eduardo, in another league, Gus Edwards, Kareem Hunt, Damian Harris. I'm going Hunt there.
Yes.
Taysom Hill or Fitz?
I'm going to go Fitz.
Fitz or Rivers?
Fitz.
Does non-PPR doesn't play any factor in this question, do you? It was the same one from Eduardo.
No.
Karn, you better hope so, buddy. You were just hitting me up about a trade. Karn just traded and got McCaffrey.
Yeah, I think he definitely does. It sounds like he was trending towards playing this week. I mean, it was starting to sound like there was a possibility that he could return. I mean, he started practicing again this week, which is positive. He had the non-contact, jersey on, but the 100% he'll be back. They're not going to set him. I'm sure he has like escalators and stuff like that in his contract. So yeah, he'll definitely be back. And to be honest, like as long as you're set up for the playoffs, like that is the best time to get Christian McCaffrey back because you're going to get him for those prime matchups. So if you've made it this far without having Christian McCaffrey, then you are set up in a great spot.
Yeah, agreed. This one coming from Periscope via Twitter. Dronsberg wants to know Evans or Benny Snell at RB2 this week. Set options. I don't think so. This is a very friendly Chase Edmonds space. You will never hear us say a disparaging word. But with that said, it's Benny Snell.
Yeah, I think Benny Snell probably sees 20 touches. I like Chase. Chase Edmonds is still somebody that I think, on a weekly basis is always a flex option at the worst. So, yeah. And then the other, Tanyan or Rudolph. I would go Rudolph. Without Adam Thielen on the field, I think it really sets up nicely for Kyle Rudolph, especially inside the red zone. Also, no Irv Smith. So there's a lot to like here with Kyle Rudolph. So I have no problem playing Kyle Rudolph. And I also, if you're desperate for tight end, which let's be honest, most people are, unless you have Travis Kelce at this point, or if you are a Mark Andrews owner and now you're looking for a tight end, Tyler Eifert is a guy that I actually like this week. He's had at least 5 targets in 3 straight weeks. He leads the team in red zone and targets. No Chark, no Conley. So it's really down to Visca, Cole, and Eifert. And I think if they can get down to the red zone, which I'm sure they will at least once or twice, that Tyler Eifert could easily score a touchdown too. So I think Tyler Eifert's a sneaky play in terms of redraft. I'm not expecting some monster game, but I think 3 for 30 and a touchdown is certainly in the range of possibilities. And let's be honest, if you get that from a tight end, you are thrilled. So Eckler.
Sorry, I was just trying to see. Rudolph is only rostered in 8% of ESPN leagues, so you could probably just pick Rudolph up off of your waivers and not have to dip down to Eifert. But yeah, this one is Eckler as well for me. E-Dub. Stephanie wants to know, in the flex in a PPR, Pittman, Brian Hill, Mostert, or your boy Slayton?
I think it's Mostert for me. The Rams have not been great against the run this year. The only concern I have with him is basically we don't know how much they're going to utilize him, right? Especially with as much injuries concerned as he's had. I mean, he came back the last time, was back for a play and got hurt again, or whatever it was. It's between him and Pittman for me, especially in a PPR format.
Yeah, with Brian Hill last.
Well, no, I'd probably put Brian Hill third.
You put him over Slayton?
Yeah, again, like I'm really honestly concerned that the Giants just don't. If the Giants get a lead, they're going to run the ball, and they're going to run the ball a lot. and because that's what Jason Garrett loves to do, and so that's the only concern. Like I said, like I love Daniel Jones. I would it surprise me if he's a QB1 this week? No, but that's going to require the Bengals somehow keeping this game close, which is always possible. I guess we've seen crazier things to happen, and this is still the Giants. So, but yeah, I prefer Mostert, but I also think Pittman should be involved. Is certainly an option as well.
Yeah, I would go Mostert, especially with Trent Williams coming back. That's going to be a big boost to that offensive line, and I would have it Mostert, Pittman, Slayton, and Hill. But the obviously you only need one here, so that is Mostert for me. Nice little pairing to be choosing from. You rolling Saints D or Dolphins this week?
I would go. I think it would actually be the Dolphins, and here's why. I don't think the Saints need to open up like so if the Broncos aren't going to be throwing the ball, like how are we going to get? You're not going to get sacks. You're not going to get interceptions because there's a legit chance here that the Broncos run the ball 50 times today. Like I think that's probably more likely than not. This dude has never taken one. Him has not taken a single snap at quarterback. Like not one in practice, not none. Right. And he hasn't taken a snap since his junior year in college. But I will say this. If you are in Yahoo or CBS, he's wide receiver eligible. Would you start him at wide? Because I would. I would play him at wide receiver, depending on who you have, obviously. If you're loaded at wide receiver, no. But if you are a team like some of these guys the guys are talking about, you definitely should. Because he's going to get rushing yards like that. That's certainly there, and they're going to do a lot of RPO and stuff like that. Like, I would give him a look.
I don't think you have to. I personally would not. It's not the same at wide receivers as it is at tight end with Taysom Hill. And
of course, it really depends on who you have. I mean, for most people, you're probably not going to need to. But if you're deciding between some,
I think the way that you would look at doing that is if you were in a 14 or a 16 team league, right, where like your options might be a little thinner at wide receiver. I think that's a situation where I could potentially think about doing that, but like you said, this dude has just been chilling on the practice squad, like has not been preparing to be a quarterback in any way, shape, or form. And now all of a sudden, literally 12 hours ago, gets called up and like, all right, champ, Saints defense has been turning it on the past 3 weeks. You're up, buddy.
It is a cool story. I would love to see him just go out there and just drop a dime first play of the game.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Little play action, have him roll out. Tim Patrick,
because he certainly has. He's definitely an athletic quarterback. Like I think I saw he ran like a 4.445. Like so, the dude has wheels. Like it's not like he's Tom Brady out there behind the sticks, right? So like I mean he gets loose on one. I mean he could bust off a 60-yard touchdown or something like that. It's super risky to even think about, but they have no other options here. It's that or Royce fucking Freeman and. I don't even know how they decided he was the emergency quarterback because, like, I thought because a lot of guys will play quarterback in like high school and stuff like that, and they transition to running back and stuff like that or another position after high school. So a lot of people kept saying like, "Oh, he played quarterback in high school." So I was like, I got to go look for myself. Like, this is what I was doing on my Saturday night. That's how lit this is all the stuff that I was doing. I was watching Kendall Hinton tape, and then I went and looked this up. And Royce Freeman played 5 fucking snaps at quarterback in high school. He had 5 attempts. 5. Okay? He was not a quarterback in high school.
That's incredible. Emery has a question here, needs one from this collection of losers. Half PPR and needs a safe outing. So he's choosing between Brian Hill, Zach Moss, Latavius Wilkins, or Gore.
Well, we're probably going to get I'd go Brian Hill.
Yeah, for safety, I'll go Hill too. I do think Murray is is also in consideration here. For me, it would be between those two. For safe, I mean, Brian Hill obviously has the highest touch upside out of this group. He has been used in the passing game a little bit. But yeah, for safety, give me Hill. I do think that Murray is another option, especially with everything. If we're questioning how much they're going to have to open it up in this game, could see a lot of rushing attempts. Yeah, Hill or Murray with the edge to Hill. Tam has a question. RBs are Chubb and Gibson. Good for you, Tam. Flex question here: Mike Davis or Eckler?
Eckler. Talk about a collection of running backs. Good for you, sir. Chubb?
Ma'am.
Who was it? Oh, was it Tam?
Yeah, it was Tam.
Oh, my bad. I apologize.
Our ma'am, Tam.
Yeah.
Child, we can't. My God. He has something to say. Big Truz has a flex question. Samuel Pittman, Wilkins, Breida, Bengals wide receivers.
Samuel.
I like Samuel there as well. And Bordo, no problem. Appreciate you jumping in. If you're jumping in for the first time, or if you've been, I know there's a group out there who's been rocking with us for a while. We pop up on the old algorithm for YouTube, and you're still not subscribed. Please slam that subscribe button. Hit us with a like while you are at it as well. We appreciate all of you guys. Noel rocking with us again. Good to see you back in the chat. Do I start Mostert and take the risk he won't play? He's definitely playing. All the bench players are at the early games. I do think you can go Mostert there and feel good about it. Karn talking about his sorry, my child just picked up a massive tin of popcorn. He's just carrying it around the kitchen.
Thank you.
I would too. Who doesn't love popcorn? Is it Topsy's popcorn? Everybody loves Topsy's.
What is Topsy's?
You don't know what is Topsy's? Not a is that? I thought that was like a everywhere thing.
Kenny, do you know what Topsy's corn? Topsy's popcorn? Nope, not a thing around here. I mean, you also don't like stuffing, so can't really have to take everything you say with a grain of salt. Wow. Aiden has a question: Devontae Parker or AJ Brown?
I did not realize. I guess Topsy's just maybe it's just a Kansas City thing or Midwest thing. That's embarrassing. You don't know what goodness is. Delicious gourmet popcorn.
I'm gonna go Parker here.
Yeah, give me Devontae Parker with Fitz.
Let's go. Tyler Boyd or Christian Kirk for the flex. I'm gonna go Kirk there, even though I love Boyd. Agree.
I'm gonna go Kirk, but it's actually closer than. Like I do think Tyler Boyd makes some sense, especially coming from the slot. He's not going to see James Bradbury. They're going to be playing from behind. They're going to have to throw the ball. I think Boyd could see 15 targets today,
but catch 4 of them for 32 yards.
Yeah,
I do like Kirk in this spot. Clamped has another question for us: Herbert or Murray this week?
this is.
I'm gonna go Herbert.
Yeah. Yeah. How hard it is to sit Kyler Murray?
Yes.
But you know what? No, I'm gonna go Kyler Murray.
Well,
I think it's overthinking it.
I'm going Herbert. Robbie, I see you rocking with us in the chat here. So go ahead and break that tie. I'm going Herbert. Kevin's going Kyler. 33 and me wants to know Pittman, one of our favorite plays this week, or Monty at flex.
Montgomery.
Let's go. I like Monty as well, especially against the against in his matchup that he has. We just saw what Jonathan Taylor was able to do to that defense. Jake Perms, should I start the Packers, Rams, or Colts defenses?
Give me the Rams.
Yeah. Another one here from Jake. Should I start Fournette, Gio, or Brian Hill in a full PPR?
Brian Hill.
Finally got you to say it. Kirk or Pittman? I like Pittman there over Kirk.
Yeah, give me Michael Pittman.
Karn, you're probably right. Starting Gallman at RB2, do you think Monty will do better this week? Ooh, that's close.
I mean, yeah, they don't really have anybody else, right? I mean, we saw how this experiment worked out without David Montgomery before they went on by. So I think he's a pretty strong flex option this week.
Isaiah jumping back in the chat. Good to see you back in here. Start 3, sit 1. Kamara, Robinson, Chubb, Eckler. Woo.
It's actually much closer to being Kamara than you might think. Because like Chubb and Eckler are locks. Like I'm not even considering that. So it's between Kamara and James Robinson.
Does this come down to, well, first of all, game script, but then I heard you guys talking on the DFS chat. Does this have anything to do with Taysom Hill taking away those targets because he's not checking down?
Right. And the fact that I just don't know how much, like I said, they don't really need to do a whole lot. The question, though, I guess on the other side was James Robinson. But see, James Robinson doesn't really get taken off the field, and they're going to continue to utilize him. So, like, it's actually much closer. Like, I moved Kamara down once we got all this news because I don't think, for most people, you're starting Alvin Kamara. And I know it's crazy to even think about sitting Alvin Kamara, but, like, this is a spot you could legitimately think about it. But I would probably still go Kamara over James Robinson. So, for me, it would be Eckler. I would sit James Robinson.
Yeah, that'd be so hard to sit Kamara in that in any situation. So I don't want to galaxy brain myself too much here. So I will roll with sitting Robinson as well. Carr knows Kevin is big. Carr knows Kevin is big on Booker. Who should I stack out of these three? Akers, Dobbins, Booker. Think snag, maybe.
Or stash.
Stash? Either way, it's not a stack.
I think it would be Dobbins.
Yeah, we saw him getting the lion's share going after last week. Just unfortunate that he popped up on the COVID list.
I saw somewhere too. I need to look, see if I can find if there's been any more conversation about that. But I did see somebody talking about that there's actually a possibility he could play tomorrow because he didn't test positive, and so he basically would just need enough time. And since they moved it to Tuesday, there was a possibility that he could be back.
Yeah, Demolition Man, who joins us and jumps in the chat a bunch. He's the one that brought that up and put that on my radar. I did not see anything about that leading up to it, but he was talking about that as well. And yeah, but the answer here would be Dobbins, just because I don't think you really need, like, Akers needs an injury, Booker needs an injury. Dobbins, the fact that Dobbins is even still available, I'd be running to snag Dobbins there. Ronnie looking for advice. I can start 2 or 3 running backs. I have Carson, White, and Moss. Should I run all 3 with 2 wide receivers, or run 3 wide receivers and 2 running backs? Carson's locked in for sure, for show.
Well, who are the wide receivers?
Also has Ronnie also has Montgomery.
Yeah, but who are the wide receivers?
Yeah, let us know who your wide receivers are. Let's pick the 2 running backs for him right now while we wait on the wide receiver options. You rolling Carson and Monty here? Look, Metcalf, Ridley, and Parker.
Okay, yeah, so you're starting the 3 wide receivers. That's not even a question.
And then you go in Carson and Monty out of this group?
Yes.
Cam or Matt Ryan?
Matty Ice.
Ryan for me there as well. Type Xander. 2 wide receiver spots, 2 running backs, and a flex. So the wide receivers, we're looking at Ridley, Hopkins, Adams. So let's pick 2 there. Let's do the 2 spots, then we'll go to the flex.
Well, I think this is easier than that. Ridley, Hopkins, and Adams are all starting because we can flex one of them. So one of them's going to the flex. So then you can only start 2 running backs, and it's Derrick Henry and Kamara.
There we go. Brian Hill joining us. Shouldn't you be getting ready for the game? But either way, we appreciate you joining us. Pittman or AJ Brown?
Depending on what your matchup looks like, if you need ceiling, I think I would go. No, I would go AJ Brown on both scenarios. Yeah.
Yeah. Agree there. Like I said, AJ Brown was held to 1 for 21 in the last game, but that was with Tannehill only throwing 25 times despite losing. I think it was like 17-34. So I think this game is gonna be closer than that, but still have the same amount of points. As we are kind of closing in here, Kev, looks like we are all caught up on the question. Is anything sticking out to you this week outside of all the injuries and craziness?
Well, we should get some good games, right? I mean, at the very least, with the Bills and Chargers game, I think looks like it should be a good game. The Chiefs and Bucks tonight, the Bears and Packers game should be interesting, and then tomorrow the Eagles and Seahawks game should be a lot of fun. At least we get some good games to watch. This week has been just insane, right now. I mean, I just with this, everything that's going on and everything with COVID and injuries and everything else, this season has been something I think we'll all remember well beyond this, that we'll look back upon. And but at least we still get football. At least we still get to watch that. So that is a positive at the very least. So because it would be very 2020 to not have football. Like, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. I'd have to spend time with family, and just kidding on that. But no. But yeah, I just think that I don't know. Hopefully everybody wins some championships, because that will at least send 2020 off on a good note.
Yeah, for sure. Even the even a game like Carolina and Minnesota, like that total is sitting at 50 right now as well. So that we like you said, should have some good games. That Raiders Falcons opened at 56. That's down to 53.5. But definitely, hopefully we'll have one of these weeks where just like everybody just goes off and goes bonkers.
What would you do? So essentially we have week 12 and week 13, right? So I guess we got a little time. We got 20 minutes. We don't have any new questions. So, we could get a little bit more in depth and provide some different conversations. Obviously we cannot trade anymore, right? So, for most people, trade deadlines have passed and you can no longer, pull those off. So now it's really about setting yourself up for success for those last couple of weeks, the playoffs, right? If you are, especially if you are a team that's locked into the playoffs and not so much locked into the, like you have to win each of those last games to get into the playoffs. If you're locked in, what is some stuff that you would be doing to help yourself for weeks 14 and 15 and 16?
I think if you're locked into the playoffs, like no matter what your seeding is, I would be taking a look at your waiver wire, because that's really the only thing that we can do now that we don't have trades. Like you were talking about, I think Gabe Davis is a really nice pickup for someone with upside, especially with John Brown hitting IR for the next 3 weeks. Like at least you'll know you'll have him going into the first week or so of the playoffs. He's somebody I would look at, and especially the positions that we talk about streaming all the time. I'd be looking ahead and finding the defenses that have nice matchups. That way, you're not just going every single week trying to find one. I'd maybe try and find one that you like a lot, that maybe has 2 of the 3 matchups you like on both that side. Hopefully, you're kind of set at quarterback. Tight end has been brutal outside of the first 2 or 3 weeks where we thought it was going to be better than what it has been. But I'd definitely be looking at defenses. I'd be looking at some of those players on my roster who are kind of the roster cloggers, kind of looking for guys who have a little bit more upside. Guys like Karn was talking about. If there's running backs like Akers and Booker, go and get your handcuffs. That'd be another one. See if you have anybody who just haven't been playing, but not really dropping either. That's kind of where I would be looking if I were set for playoffs.
Yes, I would be out there trying to pick up, the Devontae Bookers of the world, guys like that who are going to win you a championship. The other, like you said, I think going through the schedule, especially week 14. Now, if you're a team that has a first round bye, go look at week 15 and figure out who is out there and look to see what matchups you have for that. Start being proactive and don't wait until you're, it's that week. It's a really good, especially for people that have a bye. It's such a big advantage to be able to look ahead where the people that are playing that week don't really have that luxury, because you have the ability to kind of stash players that other people maybe not be able to, and kind of start hoarding some different positions that maybe other people don't. Because at this point, especially once you get into the playoffs, obviously it's a 1 week thing and you're done. So, you shouldn't be more, you damn sure shouldn't have 2 quarterbacks, unless you have a scenario where whoever your normal starter is just has the worst matchup or something like that, and it's not Patrick Mahomes, somebody like that, or Russell Wilson, who they're kind of matchup proof. Other than that, maybe you would look to that, but other than that, you damn sure shouldn't have 2 quarterbacks. You shouldn't have 2 tight ends. My entire bench would be basically running backs, and that's the way that I always try to run it, because those are the position. The running back position is the position that can win you a championship. Usually, a wide receiver is not going to do that for you. On a week to week basis, sure, but on terms of just an overall, week 14 to 16, yes. That usually that's not going to be as much of a wide receiver. So running backs is where I would be at, and like I said, whether it's Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison, Devontae Booker. Who's some other ones off the top of my head? Cam Akers is certainly one. If something happens to Darrell Henderson, I think Philip Lindsay could be one. If anything happens to Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray, I don't know why I always forget about him, but Latavius Murray absolutely would be one. And if I was going to rank them, it would probably be at least the top three would be Latavius Murray, would probably be number one, honestly. Devontae Booker would probably two, and then I'd probably put Alexander Mattison at three in terms of where I would rank them, how I'd want to prioritize them. But if any of those guys are available, I'm adding them to my bench.
Jamal Williams is
another really good one. Yeah, he's another really good one.
Just looking at some of the roster percentages on ESPN, James White less than 50% roster. Jamal Williams are right around that same spot. Latavius Murray sitting right there as well. Madison all the way down to 33.5. Definitely go out and grab him. He seems to be the one who's most widely available. If you need somebody for today, Matt Breida is only sitting there at 28%. Now, we did talk about that matchup does not bode well for him, but if you're desperate, I think you could look to him. Saquon Barkley, still 25% rostered. ESPN.
That pretty much tells you. Well, no, I guess I shouldn't say that. It's not because I own Saquon Barkley, but I'm in a keeper league. So if you factor in all the keeper leagues, that you're not dropping Saquon. So
Benny Snell sitting there at 20%.
I'm surprised he's not higher. To be honest,
yeah. Devontae Booker down at 5%. So definitely some options, like we said. Jamal Williams, Latavius Murray, definitely look at and Alexander Mattison seem to be the ones who are most widely available.
This would be a Hurst for me.
I'm going Jonnu. I know the Colts. I think they're giving up like the fourth fewest receiving yards to tight end, but I just can't trust Hurst. He's been a not that Jonnu hasn't been a disappointment, but at least at least he has the high ankle sprain that he just played through. Normally that puts guys on IR for 3 to 4 weeks. He's at least played through that high ankle sprain. I don't know. Give me Jonnu there. Flip a coin is kind of where I would lean with that, but I do lean Jonnu and Kev leans Hurst. So
I believe the answer to that question is Deontay Foreman. Like he's been getting a lot of run for them, and he's kind of it's kind of the perfect backup to Derrick Henry.
Oh no. I did not know. I just went to look at snap counts on Football Outsiders, and that's normally where I've been getting them. And they have turned that into a members only pay site. So
no, you can still access that stuff. You just have to have an account. Oh. That's not behind a paywall. You just have to have an account. But yeah, I'm pretty positive it's Deontay Foreman.
Man, they don't even have. Oh no, there he is. Looks like McNichols has 138 snaps. Deontay Foreman 24. I have literally never even seen this name and sitting at 106. Kerry Blasingame, 106 snaps apparently. But you would be picking up Foreman over McNichols if you had to.
Yeah, I'd probably lean towards McNichols, honestly, because I think he would also be involved in the passing game because he's a decent pass catcher as well.
Yeah.
Shame that why can't I think of his name? The guy who was just drafted.
Evans.
Yeah, Darrington Evans isn't an option. Yeah, so it looks like it basically. Well, I don't know. They've all been kind of Essentially, though, McNichols, though, since basically week 5, 38% of the snaps, 38, 27, 33, 25, 27, and then 9% last week. In terms of snaps between the two of them for him.
This guy also has another question with quarterbacks. How would you rank these three? Fitz, Rivers, Carr.
Right.
I would go Carr, Fitz, and then Rivers.
Yeah, it would be between Fitz and Carr for me. I think we had this question earlier, and I'm just going to slightly lean Carr. MJ, the Pug Master, joining us again. Picked up Hinton last night as wide receiver. Do you go him over A-Rob?
No.
I believe this is for all leagues, Ashton. Is what I would assume. That is a good question though that I've never really pondered or thought about. But I'm going to assume that it's across every league, because especially whenever you look at quarterback, like if you were talking to quarterback, like the guys that we always talk about as like waivers and streams, they're going to be more widely owned in 2 QB leagues than they would in just your general run of the mill 1 RB. So I would assume it's just every league.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. That's the way that it figures it, because you're right. But I do think that's probably why you see some guys that are a little bit higher than you would expect, and I think their ownership comes from, because I think you can look at it sometimes and see somebody like Nick Foles and be like, how the hell is Nick Foles even rostered? Like, who the hell's rostering Nick Foles? But then 2 quarterback leagues and stuff like that, like you're forced to have guys like that on your roster.
Good question though. Sam, full PPR, Drake or Eckler?
Eckler.
Trey Peterson, Iowa State, big dub for Iowa State the other day. James White or Gus Edwards. I could also pick up Brian Hill and Minton.
I'd go Brian Hill.
Is it close between Hill and White for you?
No, not really.
No.
It's just, well, I guess I should say it's probably closer, but I just think that you can probably expect Brian Hill is going to get probably 15 touches, and I don't think you're going to expect that for James White. I mean, James White's probably in the 6 to 8 range.
Going back to MJ's question about Hinton.
Yeah, so there's a difference between this and Taysom Hill, right? Like Taysom Hill, we knew has been operating as a quarterback, right? At least he practices as a quarterback. He comes into the game, and at least gets to throw the ball. Like, the thing with Hinton is Hinton hasn't played quarterback since, like I said, like his sophomore or junior year of college for Wake Forest. Okay, he transitioned to wide receiver, and he has not taken a single rep with the Broncos ever as a quarterback. And not to mention the fact that you're installing in a completely new game plan in less basically 12 hours when this decision was made and when they had to make the decision. So he's had no practice this week. It's not like he's been running practice all week and stuff like this, so he's been getting time with these guys. He has none. You're literally throwing a wide receiver into the starting quarterback role against one of the best defenses in all of football, which what we just saw them do against the Falcons and Matt Ryan. It's hard to believe that Hinton's going to be able to do a whole hell of a lot, even as a quarterback. So, like, I think that there is a bit with his athleticism, like there is the chance that he could score, a rushing touchdown or something like that. But he's not going to be throwing the ball 23 times like Taysom Hill did last week. He's probably going to throw the ball maybe 10 times.
Yeah, I can't do it. Did you see the Broncos tweeted at the Nuggets and asked if Jokic was available for quarterback?
I will say it is kind of messed up that the NFL, because if they would just move the game to tomorrow, they would have their quarterbacks, because they was Wednesday and they've tested, all their quarterbacks have tested negative since then, right?
Oh,
And so the Broncos were like, hey, trying to get them to move the game to Monday, because if they had Monday, then they would have their quarterbacks, but the league said no.
no shit. I didn't see that. That is.
And I guess it's because I don't know if it's the exact reason, but because they were all in meetings together without wearing masks, and I guess that's one of the protocols. Which I don't know what teams are doing. Like, why would you not separate your quarterbacks? Like, separate them, have 2 and 2 together, right? So that you never have that close contact issue, which is exactly what, like, people have wondered, like, why Jake Fromm has never doesn't practice and with the Bills. This is the reason. It's because so they have a quarterback in case something happens and Josh Allen gets COVID or something like this, which I would be willing to bet that we're going to see more teams do this moving forward. The ones that aren't are going to start separating these guys so they don't have this issue.
Absolutely. I mean, excuse me. We heard Bruce Arians talk about that at the beginning of the year, that he was literally just going to have somebody like stashed away, like not even coming to the facility for this very reason.
Yeah.
Alberto needs a wide receiver 2 out of A-Rob, Mike Williams, T. Higgins, Jalen Reagor.
I'm going to go Reagor.
So you think Mitchell Trubisky is going to smash this week, and you're going to play Reagor over A-Rob?
Oh, shit. I did not see her up. Never mind. After you caught that, that'd have been terrible. I don't care who the quarterback is. It's Allen Robinson. That's my fault.
I was like, oh my God.
Well, it threw me off because I guess I didn't see it, and I guess I saw Mike Williams, the whole name spelled out, and I didn't even see that part. So yeah, it's 100% Allen Robinson.
Glad I said that then. Yes. A-Rob, for me, I would go A-Rob, Reagor, Williams, T. Higgins is how I would rank them. Or Tam, Boyd over AJ Brown.
I would go AJ Brown.
I would go AJ Brown there as well. Ashton, you're probably not wrong. Not even just a chance to win, but like a team that they actually cared about, like the Ravens.
Yeah, or the Chiefs, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Reagor or Brian Hill in a full PPR from Jake.
Give me Brian Hill.
Oh my God, you did it! You actually said it. You actually said it.
The only thing with Reagor is the only thing I would say is that there is with all the weapons back that they have, that it is possible that maybe he only sees like 5 targets.
I'm going Reagor there. I can't. Between these two, I
don't love Brian Hill either. Like I've said this, and I've made it clear that I do not love Brian Hill. Brian Hill, we've seen this before. We saw it last year where it was Brian Hill's time to shine, and everybody was running out and spending all their fab and all their waiver money on Brian Hill, and it did not work out at all. Now, I will say this. Brian Hill has looked better this year. In the limited opportunities that he's had, he's going to be involved in the passing game. I know they still have Ito Smith, who will probably factor in as well. But I just think that Brian Hill, that one is much closer, and I would probably lean towards Brian Hill.
I think Hill is safer just because of the volume of the touches, but I don't know. I can't do it. Give me Reagor over Brian Hill. Trey wants to know Deontay, Woods, or Gio in a full PPR. You're talking about knocking down the entire Steelers receiving core, especially with Juju. But who are you rolling with out of these 3?
Who are you starting else that you can't start? Both Bobby Trees and Deontay. That's what I would want to know. But I would probably still go Deontay, I think. Or it's super close. No, I'd probably give the edge to Robert Woods.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean Woods, and I'd have it Woods, Deontay, and then Gio. So Ridley and Cooks are the other receivers.
Oh, okay.
That Trey has.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me Woods. Jordan Wilkins worth a flex this week, or just plug in Rager.
I can't mess with Wilkins. I just can't.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work out. I could end up seeing Naheem Hines, much like we did, I think in the same matchup where Naheem Hines smashed that week. And so, yeah, give me
sure.
give me Rager.
Yeah, Rager for sure. All right, guys, we appreciate it as always. If you're still rocking with us, first of all, thank you. We've appreciated all the engagement, and support, and comments that we've gotten from you guys through the first 12 weeks. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button if you have not yet already. Hit us with a like. We will be going live tonight to give you the first look at Week 13 waivers. So normally around halftime of the Sunday night game, you can look for us then. So until tonight or later this week, whenever we get to talk to you next, you can find me on Twitter at @CKlitzerFF. You can find Cav on Twitter at FantasyRat13. Best of luck, and let's get some dubs this week. Bye.